What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to I Do It Myself. I'm Wayno. What's the deal? How y'all feeling? Today we talking about Pusha T and Kanye West. So Kanye has been on this, I don't know what he's doing, self-humiliation ritual that he's doing, that he's committing, um, dressing up like a Klansman, going off about all Jewish people, going off on black people, going off on anybody who just don't think and feel like him, making songs about Hitler and using it as like this antagonist branch to say, but what about when y'all do it? Kanye has gone off and become the furthest thing that we ever thought he'd be. At one point in time, I even argued or made the point that Kanye was up there in the level of artistry of like a Michael Jackson, an iconic pop star that we could not see as wrong at the time. And the reason why a lot of people could not see as wrong because of the music. It's like being in an abusive relationship. You know what I'm saying? Crying in a rafe instead of crying at the bus stop. Person putting their hands on you, disrespecting you, doing the worst they could possibly can, but they buy you something every now and then that you can't get for yourself. Person talking down on you, disrespecting you, being belligerent, being nasty to people, feel like they right in every situation. You know what I'm saying? But you turn away and say, but that ain't me. They don't talk to me like that. They'd never do that to me. You feel like that until it's you. Pusha T and Kanye's relationship is fully gone. It's broken. I don't think it comes back. I don't think it's repairable. All of that music, New God flow, Runaway, everything that we ever got from them that we loved and cherished, we just got to remember those times because we not never getting no new shit from neither one of them together, right? But Pusha has some things to say about Kanye in this GQ magazine article, and he said, I don't look at him as a man, right? So let's read what Pusha had to say. He says his intuition is even more genius level, right? But that's why me and him don't get along, because he sees through my fakeness with him. He knows I don't think he's a man. He knows it. He also goes on to say, right? He says, and that's why we can't build with each other no more. That's why me and him don't click, because he knows what I really, really think of him. He showed me the weakest sides of him, and he knows how I think of weak people. A lot to take in, or is it? Years ago, Kanye, when Pusha was in that public feud with Drake, which in hindsight, Drake might have done a lot of fuck shit in his career with artists, but I don't necessarily know if I blame him for how he's dealt with Kanye. He went on, he was on the shop after, around the time of Scorpion came out, and he was saying about how he went to Wyoming. He's talking about all this music. They talking about all this fun stuff to do together, and how he shows pictures of his son and all these different things. And he then goes on to say, he gives him lift yourself, and he like, oh nah, I'm out of here on this one. And then he hears the poopity scoop shit. And it's like, all right, bet. But then when Kanye, when Drake, no, excuse me, when Pusha T, this is Kanye Infrared. I mean, this is Drake on Infrared. When Story of Adidon comes out, Kanye just, not me. I ain't have nothing to do with it. I don't know. So it's like that little sliver of empathy I got in that situation comes from just that. And we gonna leave that there. But Pusha T and Kanye. Kanye's rhetoric, Kanye's ways, Kanye's actions, how he portrays himself, not only in the media, but to other people, how he treats people, because he feels like he's a god. Now, I got my own reservations religiously about people who call themselves gods. I'm not here to speak on my religious beliefs, so I'm going to put that to the side for a sec. I just wanted to, throw that tidbit out there. But for a man to call himself a god and all of that, he does have that complex, to think that he's above, to think that you're below, to think that you could never talk to him. And just imagine how a person like that is operating, I think that when people talk about this bipolar disorder that he has, some people take it serious. At one point in time, I did kind of take it serious, but then I just said, I think he just be trolling with that shit for real. I think it's a crutch to lean on. I think it's like whenever you, it's like, you know, that whole saying when people get cheated on, your shorty cheat on you and you catch her and she say, oh, I miss my grandmother, or dudes do it too. They always see that too, like, yo, I've been going through some things. I just miss my grandmoms. You know what I'm saying? Like using that as a crutch as to their actions and not facing the music. Figuratively, of course, is why he acts the way he acts, right? But Pusha and Malice was talking about they dealings with Kanye during the whole time that they was doing the Jesus is King album and they was working on that. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, remember the point where Kanye was saying like, yo, um, during the Jesus is King time, he's telling people like not to curse, and then he goes into the person, you know, the person he is after that, where he talking all reckless. And he says that Malice was basically saying that Kanye was asking for his number. Pusha was like, I don't want to bring him into the foolishness. And the Malice says, you know what I mean? I don't deal with foolishness at all. But then he said that he got a chance to see it. You know what I mean? He got a chance to see it in real person, in person or whatever. And as brothers, of course, he wanted to protect his older brother from something like that because his brother is on his own path when it comes to his religious journey. And as seeing your brother being on that religious journey, you definitely want to protect him from the bullshit when somebody got bullshit coming around. Now, let me go back to the Drake shit for a second, right? Because when the Drake shit happened, right, when everything was going down, your man Kanye gets on Twitter and he says, hold on, excuse me. He gets on Twitter and he says, I've never been about beef. I'm about love. Lines were crossed and it's not good for anyone. So this is dead now. It wasn't about that at all, my nigga. Jay Prince got on that ass. We all remember the video where it looked like blink twice if you in danger. The last thing you want to do is wake up and have that nigga pointing that finger at you. You know what I'm saying? You wake up and he like, surprise. You know what I mean? Like, this is the last thing you want in your life. I think that Kanye, over the years, like the Hitler stuff, the Nazi stuff, if you was gonna go on that path to have a dialogue about how things could change and all of that, I think it was a time and place for him to do it. I think that that's actually a decent argument to have about like what music can be put out versus what can't. But the way he's gone about it is just been self-serving. It's not about other artists. It's not about bucking the system. It's about your personal gain and your personal agenda. But this is last year when he talks about, you know, his situation with Pusha, saying that he spoke to him and, you know, how he feels.
Where do you stand with Pusha? Have y'all spoken lately?
I just talked to Pusha the other day. It was good to talk to him, and Pusha's like
Is it first time talking to him?
yeah, it's the first time I talked to him a couple months and stuff. But I mean, we made good music together. There was a thing like I love to chop for like this genre rapper, whether it's Jay-Z, whatever it is. Like back in Chicago, like Payroll, it was like a rapper I used to chop up for, and I like to, you know, I would legal chops, like chopping music legally,
Right.
and you know, I thought that somehow because I like made beats and made music for somebody that when I couldn't see, you know, my children,
Right.
that these people use their platform because I use my platform on their behalf. Now I realize like no one owes me anything, but there's more than enough people to still get what you need to get done without anyone.
Wow.
It ain't no one person that's going to stop me from what I'm doing either. So if you depend on somebody who is not giving you what you need, you're the one that's in the wrong. If you call on somebody, they don't pick up. They ain't pick up, bro. What you going to just keep on, you know? And that's that attachment. You got to get detached.
Where do you
See, and all of that stuff that he says, he's basically speaking about his own accountability, and that sounds like some shit a man would say. But then when you go out there and start doing other stuff and start talking reckless, and you say something about Jay-Z and Beyonce's kids and all that, like that ain't no man, bro. You know what that is? That's panicking. That's panicking. You know when people say men used to hunt, it is one thing for people to say men used to hunt, but let's think about that for just a moment. Let's think about that whole term, men used to hunt. Men used to be accountable for their actions. And men used to get punched in their fucking mouth when they said something out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? Men used to get checked by other men. You know what I mean? In person, not on those Instagram stories or through content. Men used to get checked by other men in person. This is why I be saying, like, when people talk about eras in hip hop, I started in hip hop where you still had to run into people. So if you said anything that you really wanted to say, or you said something that you felt indifferent about something, you had to stand on that shit. Cause trust me, if you ran into the wrong person at the wrong time, they was going to embarrass you. And again, even though I come from that time, I don't agree with everything that happened in that time either. I don't agree with the violence that happened in that time. But nothing teaches a person, nothing teaches a person respect like cracking them in their fucking head sometimes. I know that's a little wild and that's a little out there, but I'm speaking to the brothers that be on this channel, man. Men supposed to be providers, protectors. I'm saying we supposed to protect our women, provide for our women, help our women, and vice versa. It's not just one-sided. Like, no, I wouldn't necessarily say I want my woman to go downstairs and see what the noise was, right? But you want to feel a certain level of protection when we speaking about things. You want to feel a certain level of security when as a man, when you got to be vulnerable to your woman. And all we've seen with Kanye's situation with his kids is him be disrespectful to the woman that he's bared these kids with. Now, he chose this woman. He wanted to be with her. He talk about this white woman and her white family and them white doctors and how these white people keep holding him back. What about that time when you was on Ellen? And you was like, she's my peace and all of that. When you was talking all soft-spoken and speaking in another voice, nigga, that is not you. That's not you, bro. That's not you. But I don't think this man really knows who he is anyway. And that's one of the reasons why Pusha T is saying I don't look at him as a man and I look at him as weak. Because with all that power, that's one thing we keep seeing throughout the Diddy trial, Kanye, other people that go through other situations. You say, damn, they got the world at their feet. They got all the power, they got all the influence, they got the money, they got the resources and the know-how. And you see that these people is just villains sometimes. Most times, they just villains that don't want redemption. They don't be trying to stop because they want to hold people in tyranny. Same with Big Sean. You complained about this, about Jay-Z on my masters. What about what Big Sean was going through, what he was going through with his masters? I ain't seen no empathy there. But you want to know why? Humanity. We only eat the animals that we can beat. That's how the food chain work, man. That's how the food chain work. We only go after and hunt the animals that we got. We say, oh, nah, I could beat this motherfucker. And I think that that's how Kanye even looked at Big Sean at that time. It's a reason why he took it easy on the Pusha, but he went crazy on the Big Sean. Or when he said the stuff he said about Cudi. I think with the Jay-Z shit, he just like, he crying for attention. You know what I mean? And he said, man, I just wish I had a family. I just, maybe he do need a hug, but he done closed himself off from them hugs. You know what I'm saying? He done alienated himself. And we can't feel sorry for nobody who conducts themselves like that because I don't abide by, nor do I subscribe to that whole mindset of I'm with you whether you right or you wrong. There's context that needs to be added to that. Because if you do some shit wrong, and if you do some shit wrong and you dead wrong, you're not about to tie me up into what you got going on. You're not about to take me away from what I got going on in life because of your self-serving ways, because of your ego. See that ego shit? Ego is something that fries men. Let me tell you something. Men fries our ego. I see ego all the time when I see a motherfucker try to jump over a fence that they know damn well they ain't jumped over a fence since they was 10 years old, but here come this 30-something-year-old drunk nigga thinking he could still jump over a fence. That's ego. A lot of times, though, people trying to jump over these fences in life, and they don't know that they about to get snagged on them bitches. Facts. They don't understand that. They don't know that. My advice to each and every person that does watch this is outside of music, this is regardless to any of this music, business shit, or none of that, check your ego at the door. Check the ego at the door because guess what? Don't let your ego put you in a position where you lose great people, good people, people that you know is going to ride for you and always going to be there for you and always going to love you because of your own selfish ways. Don't let ego, and I'm talking to the brothers right now, don't let ego, don't let ego ruin the relationship that you built with a good woman, because you just got to satisfy yourself and go extra with it. You know what I'm saying? You got to go extra with it, and you do somebody that's been in your corner the dirtiest, that's been riding for you. Don't put her through that, and don't put yourself through that, because mentally you going to struggle. Mentally you going to hurt. Mentally you going to fail. And if we ain't got our mentals, what else do we have? This is I do it myself. For the ones that rock with me, you know how we doing. For the ones that don't, eventually you will. Good music is over, y'all. Peace.